So we're up to the continuing entry of eating and drinking. So the Pele Yoetz says over here, we're speaking about how important it is the person to make sure that his food is kosher, and he has to teach his family members about kashrut, and we have to avoid, like we said before, that the food cooked by a Jew, and that it should be the standard of shechita and the standard of checking the animal, like Bet Yosef, as opposed to glad kasher. We spoke about, he says also a person has to avoid worms and avoid bugs, and he has to know how to check them. But he says the main thing is that a person has to learn. He has to learn, he has to be fluent in the laws and the sources and the reasons, in order that he should be able to explain to his friends and his family members. A lot of times people say, hey, it's all business, hey, we don't need all this, So there's a lot of confusion, misconception, and this leads to ignorance. So therefore we have to clear the ignorance, we have to become educated ourselves, and educate our friends and our family members. And when you become educated, then you're going to keep it. No one ever wants to eat their vegetables when they're little, and then the doctor tells you it's important, you get vitamins, you need it, your body really needs it, and then you get that education from the doctor, and then you're motivated. So therefore, same thing over here. If you're not going to be educated about kashrut, you're not going to be motivated to keep it, and how much more so you're not going to be able to convince others to keep it. So therefore, a person has to know his stuff, and be educated and be fluent in the laws of kashrut. So therefore, he says, a person obviously has to be careful when he has a meal, not to let it ever become a dispute, the meal. Sometimes a person can go and get upset about things that didn't work out the way he wanted to in the meal. He yells at his wife, what is this? This is how you make a salat? This is how you make food? What is this? This is not what I ordered. This is not what you said you're going to make. My mom makes better than this. Oh, so when a person is meticulous with the food, and he puts down his wife or his family members, again, makes a fight at the table, it's the worst. When everybody sits to enjoy food, but then they get a rock in their throat from the emotional distress, the person has to make sure not to treat the family members like this just because of the food. It's not worth it. He says that what is the person supposed to do at the table instead? He says a person should make sure to share words of Torah at the table, and he should not forsake the scripture, the Mishnayot. When he finds himself at a table of people, what should he do? People are weddings all the time. People are yoshvos all the time. People Shabbat table all the time. And what? If you don't have something good to say, you know what you're going to say? You're going to say Lashon Hara. You're going to say inappropriate jokes. You're going to say, things that a lot of times could start a fight, instigate, and the person has to make sure that he avoids this by what? Sharing wisdom. And when you share wisdom, you have to share Torah. You have to have good things to say, a nice lesson, a nice mashal, a nice Devar Torah you heard in a shiur, and you share these things constantly at the table. You fill the table with dusha, and you remove the sitra achra from the table. You remove all the yitzhara to make a fight and to make problems at the table. As we know, that a person, and even if a person will tell you, I don't have the ability to teach others, or, Rabbi, I know a lot of things, but I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to share it with other people. It doesn't come out for me. It's like stuck inside. I don't know how to do it. So what should he do? He should say, many chachamim used to memorize a lot of mishnayot, memorize a lot of things, in order that even when they can't study with others, they can study themselves. The person should take out something to read from. The person should take out something that at least he should learn himself, or be able to read from somewhere to teach somebody else. As a person has to know that you have to teach famous mishnayot that everybody knows, right? For example, the famous mishnah, that famous teaching, right? Or you have the teaching Kol Yisrael Yesh Lahem Chenek Olam Haba. You could expound. You could learn chidushim about those psukim. That's easy to remember, and it's easy to remember this mishnayot, right? Or you could say Yehuda ben Tema Omer Have Asken Amer. Everybody knows all these sayings, and just learn chidushim about those sayings and expound on them every single time you're sitting with somebody, because whoever is marbeh, whoever increases in Torah discussion in a table, arei ze meshubach. And therefore, the Zohar says in Sefer Shemot, he says the great reward שבח המגיע למעלה זיכרון בית המקדש ושולחנו. Someone who always mentions the memory of the Beit HaMikdash and its members, that we don't have the full simcha today. So therefore, right, we know Yerushalayim tishkach yemini. If I forget my Yerushalayim, I should forget my right hand. So therefore, a person has to remember that we don't have you can a table, like we said last time. A table, you can be beautiful food and beautiful people and have a great time. You can don't forget that we're in exile. So he says, how much more so on Shabbat? A person has to go out of his way to make sure that there's joy and there's Torah and there's beauty of the Torah shared at the table. The table on Shabbat is the prime time where a person gets to give Yirat Shamayim to his family. He picks them up and he wakes them up and he gives them chizuk. And a lot of times the wife doesn't learn. A lot of times the children don't need the father figure to give them that chizuk, to give them that Yirat Shamayim, that fear of heaven. And a lot of times people say, Rabbi, I'm growing, but my wife's not growing. She's not as religious as me. Or, my kids, I don't know why, I'm so religious, but my kids are not acting on the level I want them to be. And why is that? Is it because you have to make sure that they learn as well. You go to shul, you pray, you see the Sefer Torah, you have tefillin, you learn every day, so of course you're going to grow. But they don't have the exposure like you do, so therefore you have to be that exposure for them. You have to share what you learned in shul, and you have to share what you know, and give that to them, and give them stories, and give them chizuk, and you have to prepare all these things. Being a father is also a job. Being a leader of a Shabbat table is also a job. People pay money to have somebody to be an MC. You're having a lot of guests. Today our MC is going to be so-and-so. He knows always what to say, he always something good to say, he always knows how to introduce people. We pay him money how to lead the stole, right? So a person has to know, you're the MC of your Shabbat table, you're the MC of every time you sit dinner with your family, and you have to prepare for this. You can't just show up and not have anything to say. You can't let this opportunity, it's such a beautiful stage to be able to give Yirat Shamayim to your family members. You can't let it go by empty-handed. You have to come prepared and be the MC for your family, to give them Yirat Shamayim, to give them chizuk, to give them stories, to give them that ability to be on the level that you are also. Baruch Adonai Olam.